morning in the beautiful Galilee morning. What you are looking at is not me. You don't need to see me. But what you're looking at is actually called the Jordan Valley Rift. And Elohim has actually been speaking to me about something since the last video. And I want to kind of bring that out to you here today in this little I hope, a brief video. But it is about the mist that we see at this time of year. And I hope that the microphone is noise canceling enough because I'm on the side of a busy road. It's about the mist we see this time of year. You can clearly see it in the video, even though we're 9 o'clock-ish in the morning and it's starting to try to burn off. You can clearly see it. You know, before we get into that, I want to remind you of three things, if I can remember them all. The first thing I want to remind you is that Romans says the law is spiritual. Okay, that is written. The law is spiritual. The next thing that is written in Corinthians, is that the natural teaches the spiritual. What is it that's written there? It says first the natural man, and then the spiritual man. First the first Adam from the earth, and then the spiritual man, Yeshua, the spiritual man from heaven, who is spiritual. You know, he didn't come from earth. He wasn't taken from the earth as Adam was. And then the next thing is I want to remind you of is if we doubt any of that, all we need do is look at the parables of Yeshua and how they all came out of natural understanding, whether it was sowing the seed in good soil, whether it was the story about the tares in the wheat, or whether it was the story about the sheep and the goats, or whether it was the story about the vineyard. All of Yeshua's spiritual lessons were natural elements that were given a spiritual understanding. And he himself says that the mystery of the kingdom is known in his parables. Now, that word mystery in the Greek, if you take it from Greek to Hebrew, is the word sod. It's a secret. He says, to some, he opens their eyes and it's given to know the mysteries of the kingdom, and to others, he hides them in parables. And what are the parables about? The natural things. So as we go into this, I'd like for you to keep that in your mind, and it's not going to be a big thing. That was just the intro, and it was a big intro, but I felt it was necessary for where we were going. In Genesis, we're told a few things. The first thing that we're told is that, well, I don't know if it's first, but the first thing I want to bring out is that in Genesis 2, it talks about the fact that in the day that Elohim created the heaven and the earth, that he put the seeds in the earth. And the word there that's used for putting them in the earth means basically suspended. It's like you've put your seeds in your garden and you've not watered it yet, and the seeds are not coming up because you've not started watering it yet, but the seeds are there. So he put the seeds in the earth, and then he says, but it had not rained and there was not a man to till the earth. Before that, it was that a mist, look behind me, or not, actually not look behind me, look at the camera. It was that a mist came up out of the earth and watered the face of the earth. That's how things grew. And I believe that what you're looking at, this little brief window of time after the rains have stopped and before the heat of the sun takes over for the year, and you see that, as it were, a respiration from the earth into the atmosphere, onto the plants. And by the way, this was during the time that Elohim walked with Adam and Eve. It was during the time when he walked in that space, whether it was literally on earth or something he had created between heaven and earth, or some believed that the garden was maybe even actually in his realm. Oy vey, there's a truck honking at me. In his realm, not nice. In his realm, that he walked with Adam and Eve in the cool or in the ruach, it says in scripture, in the ruach of the day. That ruach still comes every day. After midday and before the sun sets, there's a period of time when the breezes start blowing on our land. And so these are spiritual pictures. So how is this mist that I'm looking at? How is this mist reminiscent of the time that Elohim walked with Adam and Eve? Because it says so in the scripture. And in Deuteronomy 32, in the Song of Moses, it says like his words are as dew on the tender grass. Also, the psalmist says that men are as the grass of the field, and their glory is as the flower thereof. They're here today and they're gone tomorrow. If Adam and Eve were not tender grass, the beginning of creation, I don't know what they were. And then that same Song of Moses goes on and says that he's as the dew on the grass, on the eseb. He's as the gentle rain on these plants. And so all of these things were given to understand, no, I'm not saying that mist is the presence of God, but we understand the spiritual from the natural. And we get a glimpse. This is that 3D desire that we have. You know, the scripture also says that we look through a glass darkly. And I'm the first to admit we're looking through a glass darkly, but I'm also telling you that Elohim is trying to teach you a spiritual picture as we look out on this land and we watch the mist come up from the earth and keep what we have at this point green and supple and growing from this mist that comes up from the earth.